I think when I originally began the work, because this body of work really started almost 30 years ago, and I'd say at that point, I mean, I think I had a sense that there was a political undertone in the work, but it wasn't the motivating factor. It wasn't that I wasn't feeling that I was making this work as a concerned photographer trying to create change in this area. I thought chronicling a kind of movement that I saw where our populations were growing at exponential rates, and I was focusing on the resource extraction industries and coming to trying to understand visually what's changed. And what to me was changing was that we've always taken from nature. So the ages of man go back to the Stone Age and the Iron Age and the Bronze Age and the Copper Age, and these ages of man are all kind of chronicled through anthropology. And so we understand that we've gone through these, but these ages are so we still get stone and we still get copper and we still get iron, but the scale and speed of that taking has changed dramatically. And so I felt that the large format camera, and having worked in those places, because I did work in a mine and I'd seen them, that what we don't see the scale of, we see the scale of our cities. So here we are in a city, New York City, and the scale is, let's say you never saw a city before and you came to New York, it'd be overwhelming to see all the tall buildings, just the sheer, volume of the built world that we've created here. But when I was going there and photographing that other side, that to every act of creation, there's an equal or greater act of destruction, and that we only take a portion of the good stuff, but there's a lot of waste that's laid, that before we get to the good stuff, whether it's the wood that we take, or if we take metals from ore, we're only taking maybe 5% of the volume. 95% ends up being tailings. So we're really disrupting much larger, grander scales of landscape. So to me, that was an interesting thing to begin to try and find the yin to the yang, the destruction to the creation of the things that we build. But in the landscape, and at a certain point, I began to understand it as a loss for nature, that as we were expanding, nature was being chewed away. And then I began to understand the work as a kind of that there was a kind of melancholy or sadness to it, but it was a lament for the loss of that place that we've called nature, that it's losing out in this battle between what we need and what's available and where it's found, and so wherever that place is being hammered, to supply the things that we need. So, and then I began to see nature as really just an open cupboard where we're raiding the cupboards, and taking everything as absolutely fast as we can. And now, and as I've kind of gone on to begin to understand that, I see our oceans as opening up the cupboards and just attacking it, with a ferociousness that is like breathtaking. So I think the work never was intended to be political, but the political reading, as a result of our becoming more aware of the collective human impact on the planet, is coalescing to, I think, give the work a political undertone or reading that maybe even was more than I originally intended. But the intention was that it's that the work is unstable, and that it has all kinds of features to it, that there's the content and the form, so it makes an image that's interesting to stand in front of. And I wouldn't go as far as saying beautiful, but at least compelling to want to look at it, to want to enter it. And then once you're in that place, it's a question of, do you want to read it for its form and the kinds of structure and the color and the things that are presented and the scale of the things I'm presenting, or you can just, and somebody can even enjoy it on the sheer aren't humans interesting? Look at what they're building, to the idea that, within the work, there's a lot of embedded documentation as well of how we mine for iron ore, how we mine for copper, how we build, what we build, and in terms of buildings, and there's a lot of stuff that photography just carries forward as well, that defines an era and a time and a style of how we did things.